Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. Mark here. And Jenny, I'm more excited than usual to talk about this topic today. When I first saw the headline, I honestly did a double take. Like a full-on, wait, what kind of moment. Are you ready for this, Jen?
Mark, you've been teasing this all week, and yes, I think my jaw might actually drop. You told me it had something to do with 100 million times better energy efficiency than, like, NVIDIA GPUs. That sounds, it sounds a bit fantastical, almost straight out of a science fiction novel, not a real-world technological breakthrough. What's the catch?
Right? It does, doesn't it? And yet, here we are, diving into the fascinating and honestly a little bit wild world of probabilistic computing. This isn't classical binary computing as we know it. It's not even quantum computing as we usually hear about it. It's just really, really different.
Okay, so I'm intrigued. What exactly times probabilistic computing then? And how on earth does it manage this seemingly impossible energy feat? Because that number, 100 million times, it's just it's so large it feels almost made up. And you know I'm a healthy skeptic.
That's fair. So, all right, picture a regular computer bit. It's either a 0 or a 1, right? Very definitive, very predictable. Now, with quantum computers, you have qubits that can be a 0, a 1, or both simultaneously in superposition, which sounds cool, but they need super cold temperatures to stay stable, like near absolute zero.
Right. And we've talked about that before. We're talking colder than deep space, colder than anything known to humanity, to keep those things from just, falling apart. That's a massive energy drain just for the cooling alone, not to mention the actual computation.
Exactly. That's a huge hurdle. Now, here's where the plot twist comes in. Enter the p bit. These are the core of probabilistic computers. Instead of being a definite 0 or 1, or even a superposition, p-bits naturally fluctuate between 0 and 1 due to, wait for it, thermal noise.
Thermal noise? So like the random jiggling of atoms, like heat, actually times helps them? My entire understanding of computing is suddenly feeling very wobbly.
Yes, this is the truly novel part, the part that makes engineers scratch their heads and then go, aha. Traditionally, engineers fight noise. They build shielded rooms, they implement elaborate cooling systems, anything to get rid of it. But probabilistic computing, it actually harnesses that inherent randomness, that noise, and uses it as a feature, not a bug. It's a paradigm shift.
So they're not trying to suppress the chaos, they're leaning into it. That's a genuine paradigm shift in thinking, isn't it? And because they're essentially using the physics of their environment, they don't need all that intense cooling, which, I guess, explains some of the energy savings right there.
Precisely. They operate at room temperature. The systems basically find minimum energy states just by being times in their environment. It's a bit like a ball rolling downhill, finding the lowest point. The system naturally anneals towards solutions, if you will.
Okay, so room temperature, harnessing noise, that already sounds like a winner just on the energy front. But then, what kind of problems are these probabilistic computers good at solving? Because I'm guessing it's not going to replace my laptop for browsing cat videos or editing my podcast, is it?
You're right, not for cat videos, sadly. Or running, Excel. This is where it gets really interesting for practical applications, though. They excel at specific types of problems called combinatorial optimization problems. Think of things like protein folding, which is incredibly crucial for drug discovery and understanding diseases.
Ah, okay. So, like, finding the absolute best way to fold a protein, or the most efficient delivery route for a massive logistics company, or perhaps even cracking certain complex codes if it's an optimization problem?
Exactly. These are problems where the number of possible solutions is astronomically large, making them incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for even the most powerful classical computers to solve through brute force within a reasonable time frame. Probabilistic computers, with their intrinsic parallelism, because all those p-bits are fluctuating simultaneously, can explore many solutions at once, converging on optimal or near-optimal answers much faster.
So it's not about brute force. It's about a kind of intelligent, randomized exploration to quickly find a good enough, or even the best answer. That, I could see being a game changer for fields like pharmaceuticals or logistics. Imagine drug discovery going from, weeks of simulation to maybe hours, or even minutes.
That's the promise. Early results, like those from Purdue University and others, have shown speedups up to 260 times compared to high-end CPUs for certain problems. Again, like protein folding. And that jaw-dropping energy efficiency claim, the 100 million times figure, it largely comes from very specific benchmarks on these types of intensely difficult optimization tasks, where classical computers struggle immensely.
Okay, and this is where my healthy skepticism kicks in, Mark. Early results and specific benchmarks always make me wonder how much of this is a lab demo, something that's brilliant within its controlled environment, versus real-world applicability and scalability. How do we know this isn't just brilliant but niche, forever stuck in the lab?
That's a fair and vital point, Jenny. And it's a question the scientific community is actively asking. We don't have standardized benchmarks yet for these systems, like MLPerf for AI chips, that can truly compare them against conventional ones across a broad range of tasks. So independent verification of those exact 100 million times numbers, or even 260x speedups, it's still limited to, the research labs publishing the papers.
Right. So the hype is, it's palpable, it's exciting, but the widespread validation and, dare I say, the broader applicability are still catching up. What are the biggest hurdles then? Is it just getting more labs to reproduce the results and build similar systems? Or is there something more fundamental?
That's certainly part of it, the reproducibility, the scaling. But also, materials. Building these qubits precisely is tricky. We're talking about magnetic tunnel junctions, or resonant tunneling diodes. These are tiny, nanoscale components that need to fluctuate just right, responding to that thermal noise in a predictable way. And then there's the software. We need entirely new programming models to effectively talk to these probabilistic systems. It's not your typical Python code,
So we're talking about new silicon, or new materials anyway, new software, new ways of thinking about computation entirely. It sounds like we're still a ways off from seeing these pop up in our homes, or even making a major dent in, say, typical data centers.
For universal, widespread adoption, yes, definitely. But think about how tensor processing units, or TPUs, or even neural processing units, NPUs, started. They were highly specialized coprocessors. Many experts believe we'll see hybrid CPU probabilistic architectures first, dedicated chips that accelerate specific optimization tasks, integrated into existing systems. So your regular computer would have a little probabilistic sidekick to help with the really hard problems.
Ah, a kind of specialized sidekick rather than a full replacement. That makes a lot of sense. So for things like complex logistics for a massive shipping company, or designing new materials for, say, aerospace, or even climate modeling, these specialized units could be plugged in to turbocharge existing systems without needing to rip out everything else?
Exactly. Instead of trying to reinvent the entire computer, you add a specialized engine for the toughest problems. It's an interesting parallel to how GPUs started, primarily for graphics, but now, of course, dominate AI workloads. They didn't replace the CPU. They augmented it.
This brings up some interesting ethical questions too, doesn't it? If optimization problems become hyper-efficient, what does that mean for jobs that rely on complex planning and analysis, like logistics managers, for example, or financial modelers who spend their careers optimizing portfolios?
It's a valid concern, Jenny. Any technology that streamlines processes to this degree raises questions about job displacement. However, the counter-argument, and one embraced by many technologists, is that it also opens up entirely new fields and creates demands for specialized skills, like designing, managing, and interacting with these probabilistic systems. It's a shift, not always an elimination.
Right, the classic lost jobs versus new jobs created argument. But I also wonder about cybersecurity. If these machines are so good at certain types of optimization, could they, for example, crack traditional encryption faster than we can? Well, create new encryption.
That's another excellent point, and something security experts are already thinking about, especially in the context of both quantum and now probabilistic compute. The efficiency of these systems could necessitate an acceleration in the adoption of post-quantum cryptography, like lattice-based encryption, to stay ahead of potential threats. It's a constant arms race, unfortunately.
So on the one hand, breakthroughs in medicine, tackling climate change, hyper-efficient logistics, all these amazing benefits. But then, on the other, the potential for job disruption and new cybersecurity challenges. It always comes down to that, doesn't it? The dual use of technology.
It often does, Jenny, but the fact that we can even discuss harnessing uncertainty and noise, things traditionally seen as detrimental, to build powerful, energy-efficient computers just shows how much the definition of computing is evolving. It's not just about zeros and ones anymore. It's about the inherent beauty and utility of probability itself.
The beauty of uncertainty. I love that. What a fantastic way to frame it. As always, Mark, you've given us so much to think about in such a short amount of time. This particular discussion changes how I'll think about noise from now on, that's for sure. Thanks for unraveling this for us.
My pleasure, Jenny. Always a pleasure. And thank you to everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.